Hey everyone, welcome to this on-demand presentation at the 2021 Water for Food Globe Forum focused on mapping the smallholder irrigation ecosystem in Rwanda. We have an experienced group of presenters here to share their processes and insights with you over the 30 minutes. We'll start briefly introducing our speakers, defining an ecosystem map and what is used for, and then discussing step by step how to create an ecosystem map using Rwanda smallholder irrigation ecosystem map recently published by Water for Food as an example. Your presenters today include myself, Grace, Natacha, and Raïssa, who are all program consultants at Water for Food. I would like now to turn the discussion over to Natacha to define an ecosystem map.
Thank you, Grace. First, let's start by understanding what we mean by ecosystem. We are referring to the general use of the word ecosystem, which is a complex network or interconnected system. Now, defining an ecosystem map, it is a visual representation capturing all the people and groups that have influence on the target customer and service environment. In the context of irrigated agriculture, at the center is a farmer who irrigates the target customer. The surrounding entities are categorized into different functional groups based on how they primarily provide value to the customer. These functional groups are then tiered on whether they work directly or indirectly with farmers. The main goal of the Rwanda smallholder irrigation ecosystem map is to show all key players surrounding farmers and their role. This map can be used by entrepreneurs interested in starting an irrigation business to identify potential customers, suppliers, partners, investors, donors, and other resources. The map can also be used by organizations who want to support entrepreneurship and access to irrigation to learn who is involved, where current efforts are focused, and where there are gaps or opportunities for services and investment. The overarching objective is to strengthen the irrigation entrepreneurship ecosystem, which creates opportunities for innovative solutions to scale up irrigated agriculture.
Thank you, Natacha. Let's take a closer look at the Rwanda smallholder irrigation ecosystem map, which captures irrigation businesses serving smallholder farmers as well as broader irrigation ecosystem in the country. It includes a range of partners, founders, industries, university programs, and advocates that intersect with and support the irrigation pump market. At the center of the map is the smallholder farmer who irrigates. Those entities shown in green have direct contact with farmers. Organizations shown in blue have an influence in the irrigation ecosystem, but only not primarily working directly with farmers. In the next 20 minutes, we're going to tell you exactly how we created this map using a step-by-step process which you can replicate to study other ecosystem maps of your interest. Now, let's have an overview of the ecosystem mapping process. We have drawn this as a circle because the process is iterative, not linear. As you progress through these steps and gain additional information through interviews, testing, and validation, you will likely find need to go back and adjust the boundaries, add more known entities, or add and modify functional groups. We will discuss how we walk through this process to create the Rwanda smallholder irrigation ecosystem map.
The first step in the process of creating an ecosystem map is to set boundaries, to determine who will be inside or outside the scope of your map. One way to do this is to determine who is the target customer in the ecosystem and who will be using the map. These two concepts are related. For example, if you are an entrepreneur interested in starting your own company or a business owner interested in growing your own customer base, at the center of the map will be your target customer, the type of a person or a group that will be buying and using your product or service. If you're a researcher, a government planner, or a non-profit program manager, you need to consider who or what is it that you're trying to study and support. In our case, we are seeking to study entrepreneurship and understand the private sector small farm market, with the goal of increasing smallholder farmers' access to irrigation. Though we are studying business owners, we did not put an irrigation business owner at the center of the map. Instead, we put that business customer, a smallholder farmer, at the center of the map. This allows us to get the whole picture of the flow of goods, services, and information. Another way to set boundaries is to decide who will be the title of your map. Let's consider our example, which is entitled Rwanda Smallholder Irrigation Ecosystem Map. This tells us the key points about the map boundaries. 1. We are focused on Rwanda. 2nd, we are interested in smallholder farmers, not medium farmers or large commercial agriculture enterprises. And finally, we are focused on smallholder farmers who irrigate, not smallholder farmers in general.
Once you have defined the boundaries of your ecosystem, the next step is to make a list of all the entities that have an interest in, influence on, or interaction with your target customer. At this point, you should not try to limit or condense your list, because you can do that later. Now is a chance to think broadly and put as many ideas down as possible. It helps if you do this in a group setting so that you can brainstorm as a team. In our case, we did this as a group exercise over Zoom using Etherpad, a free and interactive word processing tool. We set a time limit and listed out the people and organizations that are active in smallholder irrigated agriculture. For this exercise, the focus was on trying to capture everyone who is directly or indirectly involved in smallholder irrigation in Rwanda or who has a stake in it. The third step is to conduct discovery interviews. The ability to create a comprehensive and complete list of entities comes from having knowledge of how systems work in the real world, meaning you have to get out of the building and talk to people who truly understand the ecosystem. Our team accomplished this with discovery interviews. You can use the list of entities you have created to identify your first round of interview subjects. We are giving a live session on discovery interviews as part of this forum on Tuesday, October 12th. We encourage you to either attend this live event or watch the session recording afterwards. For now, I will focus on two aspects of discovery interviews, especially relevant to ecosystem mapping. First, ask open-ended questions, talk less, and listen more. Be prepared to hear things you did not expect. Don't just seek confirmation of what you already believe to be true. This is not a sales pitch. The point of a discovery interview is to learn about the needs of your customer and the business models of other entities around your customer, including their unique value proposition, customer segments, marketing channels, and key resources and partners. This information will be necessary to group entities by their function in the ecosystem. Secondly, use discovery interviews to expand your network and awareness of ecosystem actors. There is a saying that you don't know what you don't know, meaning that there may be gaps in your understanding of the ecosystem, but you don't know that until someone else points it out to you. Our team in Rwanda conducted dozens of interviews with smallholder farmers, cooperative groups, business owners, government officials, NGO program managers, and more. At the end of each interview, we would always ask, based on our conversation today, is there anyone else you recommend we talk to? This question allowed those we interviewed to refer us to others and possible offer a warm introduction to these new contacts. As such, we're able to fill in some gaps in our map and gain broader understanding of the ecosystem. Listing entities in the ecosystem and conducting interviews is an iterative process. We went through multiple rounds of listing entities, conducting interviews, and then updating the list and scheduling more interviews.
The fourth step is group entities by function. Once you have a good understanding of the actors in the ecosystem and what they do, you should start to group these people and organizations by their function. This is usually the hardest part of creating an ecosystem map because you want to avoid superficial similarities between groups, such as names. Instead, focus on how entities provide similar value proposition to the target customer. These categories should be informed by the discovery interviews, by what people tell you face-to-face about how an organization functions in the real world, not just how an organization crafts its image through marketing and public relations. To create these functional groups, categories, we ask ourselves the following questions. How do these entities relate to smallholder farmers? What is the primary value they're providing to the farmers? Are they working directly with the farmer, or are they 1 or 2 steps removed? One strategy to help with this is to create a short descriptive names for the categories you're developing, and to make these names reflect the key action or services. For example, looking at the Rwanda smallholder irrigation ecosystem map, we can think of many of the group's names as both a noun and a verb, reflecting who is in the group and what the group does. A technical aggregator aggregates multiple services, an input dealership deals seeds and agrochemicals. And an equipment retailer retails pumps, pipes, and other accessories. And a financer finances grants and loans to smallholder farmers. So if you're struggling with a name, to name your category in your ecosystem, consider making the names include your key activities. We also organized the groups on our map into 2 tiers. The first tier in green are those entities that have direct contact with farmers. Organizations shown in blue have influence in the irrigation ecosystem, but are not primarily working directly with the farmer. At this point, you'll also find that you have some relevant information about the ecosystem, which cannot be conveyed through the categories you're developing. In this case, consider adding a note to the map. We did this in the yellow box at the top of the ecosystem, where we identified the 3 primarily pathways for the smallholder farmers in Rwanda to irrigation. The information in this box is important to provide context and correctly understand the ecosystem, but it is not part of the ecosystem itself.
The last process in creating an ecosystem map is to test and validate the groups. Finally, once you've created and filled functional groups and created a first draft of your ecosystem map, you need to test and validate your map. We recommend doing this through group discussions. As a team, we had several internal ecosystem mapping workshops where we ask ourselves the following questions and discuss the answers. The first question, are there any entities missing from this map? As you add more entities to your list, are you able to fit these entities into their functional groups you have identified? If an entity does not fit, then you need to add a new group to the map. The second question, do the organizations in the categories truly have similar functions? Are there too many organizations in these categories that we should consider splitting into 2 categories? Conversely, there are too few examples of a category that merit it being in a separate group or being on the map. The last one, do you think organizations listed on the map agree with their categorizations? If not, why? How can you justify this grouping if someone disagrees? Can you back this up with a source from your discovery interviews? Then let alone, assigning entities to functional groups and testing and validating the map is a process. We went through multiple drafts of the ecosystem map as we continue to conduct discovery interviews, each better than the last. Knowing when to stop working on this map development process and to finish the ecosystem map is a matter of judgment. Remember, this map is a representation of key actors and their roles in the ecosystem. As a representation, there's no right or wrong answer we are searching for, and no hard and fast rule of when the map is complete. In our case, we considered to publish our map after the entire team discussed the map multiple times and agreed that they had a high comfort level with the decision that have been made. The team used their professional judgment, acquired through months of working in Rwanda and conducting interviews, to state that our opinion, the map accurately reflects the irrigation ecosystem for smallholder farmers as witnessed by us. And this brings us to the end of our session. We hope that this map will be useful to you in understanding the irrigation ecosystem in Rwanda and encouraging you to apply the same process to the markets and environments. If you would like to know more information about the work that Water for Food is doing to support irrigation entrepreneurship, please visit our website at waterforfood.nebraska.edu/entrepreneurship. Thank you for choosing this presentation, and good luck in your own ecosystem mapping.